You know, I've always felt the world's a scary place. I got that from my Jewish grandmother. She was born in a small Jewish ghetto in Lithuania. She's the one who gave me obsessive-compulsive disorder, or at least she led the way. I never remember her being happy a day in her life. She died in a nursing home trying to remember who the hell she was. My Aunt Eppie died of stomach cancer when she was exactly my age. Uncle Abe kicked the bucket with pancreatic cancer. My stepfather succumbed to liver cancer. Grandpa Morris died of lung cancer. Grandma Eva got breast cancer 3 times. That brings me to Mom. She was diagnosed with breast cancer 6 years ago. Because of our family's history with doctors, she quickly came to the conclusion, and this is Mom's words here, doctors are stupid. And, you know, she just decided if she was going to cure herself of the dreaded C word, she was going to have to do it herself. In fact, she takes massive amounts of vitamins and minerals all throughout the day. Again, we thought she was nuts doing this, but now I think she's really smart. Here's Mom right now, because she wants to say something to you. She wants to say something about doctors.
I'm trying to prove them wrong, yes, because they are wrong. They won't open their minds, and they won't stop giving people all those drugs.
People in my mom's retirement home take 14, 15 medications a day. Can you imagine what that does to your liver? Can you imagine the synthetic crap they're putting in their body, and they love their doctors. And their doctors, oh, they give them free samples, so isn't that great? Well, I used to be that way too. I live in fear of getting cancer because I'm 65, I'm getting to be that age, all my other relatives died of cancer, so I'm scared. It's like it's waiting out there for me or something. Well, I wanted to find out what people, organizations, and doctors on the internet think's causing this current epidemic. It's a literal epidemic of cancer and coronaries. 1, meat is the enemy. It's kind of nature's revenge. We make the animals suffer, and then they come back to kill us. It's like poetic justice. They say become a vegan or die. 2, chemicals are the enemy. They say we're drowning in a toxic soup, that the food that you find on supermarket shelves has more cancer-causing chemicals in it than actual food. They say rat poison is probably safer. 3, your brain is the enemy. This camp is convinced that 95% of all illnesses and accidents are caused by unresolved emotional conflicts. They say stress is killing us, worry is killing us, anxiety is killing us. We got to stop listening to that crazy, fearful, fucked up voice in our heads. 4, modern medicine is curing us to death. They say there's a conspiracy of medical malpractice, hospital infections, pharmaceutical cover-ups, and misdiagnosis on a massive and unprecedented scale. Recent statistics kind of back that up. I need a definitive answer. My life may well depend on it. Does Mother really know best? Are greedy corporations and negative thinking in the medical industrial complex really the enemy? Or have I simply spent too much time on the internet?
It was quite a shock to me and everyone in my family to find out that I had had cancer, and a severe form of cancer that when I finally spoke with the specialist, he said I had probably 2 to 5 years to live at the most, which was devastating. And it was especially difficult because I had a genetic liver disease that we had just discovered when I was 35, and that almost killed me, and I'd worked so hard to get through that, and I was finally healthy again and ready to go, and then I discover I have this incurable cancer.
And then he told me that I had cancer. And I was shocked, actually, because I didn't expect that at all. The results of the biopsy came, and I was told that maybe I needed an operation. So after we studied a lot, we decided that the operation was maybe the best option because the PSA was very high.
It was carcinoid cancer, which is a rare form of cancer that affects the endocrine system. What it does is it gets into the endocrine system and you just continually grow tumors. And every few years you have to have surgery, or this is what the medical profession tells you. Every few years you have to have surgery and they remove a bunch of tumors, and slowly but surely they take away pieces of your intestines until there's none left and you're wearing colostomy bags, and then you die. And that's what happens to people with carcinoid cancer. And I was at a stage, shockingly, that they thought I had 2 to 5 years to live, that it would get into my liver and I would just die.
So I took the test, and to my absolute shock and horror, the results came back positive. And the feeling that first came to me was that I was on an airplane that was about to crash. I just felt this ringing in my ears, this slow, cold tingling down my back, and like this is a bad scene in a bad movie, and everything my life had been about and was working up to was just going to go down in flames. And probably the worst part is she had no idea what to tell me. She had no recommendations. She let me make a phone call from her office like I'd just been arrested. I got one free phone call. So I called my cousin, who's gay. I figured he must know something about this, and the only words that he could figure out to say were, "Oh my God, not you too." The good news was I was extraordinarily healthy due to all my blood work. The bad news was I actually did have HIV and could expect to live between 5 and 7 years, that I would need to take powerful medication that, in describing the side effects, were clearly things that would make me sick. It was hard actually to distinguish between what was supposed to be AIDS and what were supposed to be side effects of the AIDS drugs. So that started about a year-long search for someone I could basically die with. I mean, I was told I had this fatal diagnosis. I wanted to die with somebody who was cool, who knew my name, who could listen as well as speak, who had good magazines in their waiting room.
I was very worried because, not so much because of that, even though, you know, I'm only 52 years old, so I didn't want to become incontinent or impotent. But I didn't like the idea of cutting off some part of myself, you know. I don't like the idea of, you know, just working on that level and not trying to find the cause of the problem and maybe find a solution there. You know, it's a big scare. It's cancer. My mother had died of cancer before, you know, and you think, I think everybody would react in the same way. You think, I need to get rid of it now because you never know. It could spread, something else could happen.
So discovering that lump in your breast, did that change your life?
It didn't scare me. You know, when someone tells you you have breast cancer, you panic. I didn't. I said, well, I guess I have to take care of it.
Did you have absolute confidence that you could?
Yes.
Or you weren't, or was this an experiment to see if you could?
It was an experiment, but I believed I could.
What made you believe that?
Well, because the things the doctors are doing are wrong, so anything I was going to do had to be right.
Did you used to believe in doctors at one point?
When I was a child, yes.
Most doctors do operate, unfortunately, from fear.
Fear of?
Fear of the so-called malpractice, right? Because, for example, if you don't treat the person or recommend the treatment, the patient or the person have bad results or die, the family could sue you. So unfortunately, there is that fear of malpractice. There's also that fear of so-called peer review, or the medical profession or society saying that you are not giving the standard of care.
And the standard of care is nothing new. It has to be what's been accepted and practiced by everybody.
Yes.
And I asked the nurse then whether she would take a blood sample for the PSA to check it once again, you know, because it had been quite some time since the first PSA. And she said, oh, no, we don't take blood samples for the PSA before the operation. That's not necessary. And because I had asked, for some reason, she started doubting that. And she decided there and then to take one blood sample for a PSA test. I was admitted in hospital the night before, spent the night there. I was getting ready in the morning, you know, I was on my bed. I was actually deep in meditation when the registrar came in, you know, 1 hour before the operation, and he came in and he said, "Have you done anything? Have you taken any medication or done anything for your prostate in the last few weeks or months?" I said, "No, I just went back to a healthy lifestyle and did all this and this and this. But that's it, I didn't take any medication." You say, "Well, the thing is that you've had a PSA done, even though we don't normally do that, but you had one done, and we see that the result is that your PSA is now dropped to 0.8. So from 20 it had dropped to 0.8, which is quite a big difference, you know. Can we not cancel the operation? There's no need for it, apparently." And he said, "Yes, I think you're right." I could feel that he was a bit, you know, surprised by my reaction, and he probably wanted to go ahead with the operation anyway, you know. But since I asked, and it's also my decision after all, you know, it's my life and my prostate, he said, "Well, I think you're right, there are too many uncertainties, so let's cancel the operation, and we'll monitor your progress, you know, with PSAs and further tests like this." So that's when I decided to just go completely for this healthy lifestyle and doing meditation and also using Ayurveda.
When I met with the specialist with carcinoid cancer, and he told me that I had 2 to 5 years to live, and I'm a 42-year-old woman at the time, and I said, "How can that be? Isn't there something I can do? Can I change my diet?" I weighed about 300 pounds at the time, and I ate poorly. I didn't exercise very much. I had been bedridden for 6 years before that for a genetic liver disorder I had that I was just coming out of. I was finally feeling healthy again. I thought, wow, I can get back on track. I can start exercising. I felt good emotionally. And then I found out I have cancer. The doctor said, "No, well, if you change your diet, you might lose a couple of pounds, but it's not going to have any impact on the cancer." And I believed him at first. So I started doing research. I believed the doctor, and I wanted to learn more about it because most doctors talk to you like you're retarded. And I actually have a background in chemistry, and I thought, well, I'll look up and research the disease myself. And everything he said, I actually verified with all the research that was out there, that there was nothing you could do dietarily. They had no idea what caused it. But I went to all the websites of the people that had carcinoid. There's something called Carcinoid Fighters of Los Angeles, and I was looking at their website, and I found it uncanny that all of them looked really unhealthy, like they were bad eaters and they were fat like me. And I thought, isn't there something related? Why isn't it? Is it a coincidence that all the people with carcinoid cancer look like they live on bacon? And at the same time, my mother was, I'm very close to my mother, I'm my mama's girl. My mom was falling apart because she'd just gotten over them thinking I was going to die of liver failure from the Wilson's disease. And now she's being told that I have 2 to 5 years to live. And my mom begged me in tears to figure out something. She said that she could not live through my death. And she begged me to think of something. And so for her, I decided that I would try anything.
In my search for a doctor I could die with, I ran into one who thought that people who tested positive could remain healthy or recover their health if they used natural therapies. Vitamins, minerals, supplements, large doses of vitamin C, vitamin B injections, herbs, changing their diet to healthy, organic, fresh foods. And also very important was adopting the attitude of, I can live. That was one of the things that was very essential to this formula, was embracing the possibility that life could go on.
You know, there was a turning point for both of us, or we both stopped believing everything we had been told as a child in terms of our health and the idea that other people were here to cure us. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, was the turning point for you your gallstone? No, because I realized quite late on that I was a fairly enlightened teenager. That was stage one, because I realized that you have to look after your body. I figured it out that if you look after your body when you're younger, by feeding it correctly and not doing things like the stupid, like sport, you know, things like that, then you would probably live longer and be healthier when you got older. That was my basic premise. And so when everybody else was just going out getting drunk and staying out all night, and I was sleeping and eating and properly and eating salads, and I was ridiculed. I was ridiculed for eating salads and looking after myself in England, because they just go to the doctor if they're ill. If something goes wrong, you just go to the doctor, you get a few pills. A guy in a white coat says, yes, you are ill, here's some antibiotics. And then the real turning point for me was when my mother died. That was the real turning point for me, because a doctor said to her, basically, you're going to die. Now, she had what was always referred as the C word, and she couldn't talk about it, and you weren't allowed to know about it. You didn't know which part of the body the C word had attacked, but all you knew was that a guy in a white coat had said to her, I'm sorry, this is it for you. It was just so annoying. I was powerless, because my mother comes from that generation, or came from that generation, where if a doctor says, you are going to die, I'm afraid, you just go, oh yeah, well, oh my God, that's terrible. And you just submit, you just give in. I went to San Francisco and I called her, and I remember calling her saying, you've got to come here. I'll help you with the money for the flight. Just come to San Francisco. There are people here who know stuff. They know stuff that we don't in England. They're way ahead of us, and we can get help for you. And I remember her just sighing and going, no, you're very kind, but no thank you. And that was the doctor in her saying in her head, he's crazy. They can do things in San Francisco that doctors can't. And that really was a major turning point for me.
Don't go to a health food store. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your money on things they say can help your immune system. There's nothing you can do. So I guess being how I am, when I left, I immediately went to the health food store looking for something that said for your immune system. But this was 1992. And there wasn't anything that was labeled like that, and I hadn't really heard people about the immune system before. So I figured if I asked somebody in the store for help in finding things for my immune system, they'd know that I had, this thing that was going to cause me to develop AIDS. And I was so horrified and humiliated, and I just couldn't do it. So instead I picked up a book on vitamins, minerals, herbs, and supplements, and I thought maybe I could figure it out myself. And I sat up all night long with this book, which was very thorough and very well referenced, and looked up everything that I could possibly take or do to enhance my immune system, and then cross-checked it against what other things I was taking to see if there would be any adverse reactions from combinations. Then I went back to the health food store the next day and got all this stuff, very nervously thinking they're going to know what I'm up to. They're going to know I'm trying to save my life. I had also become a public speaker and educator for several mainstream AIDS organizations, and in the course of my work, I had met a number of people who were taking all the drugs, who were following the doctor's orders, and who were dying. And that was really scary. Things went beyond theoretical at that point when I got to know these people. There was a lot of theoretical in what I had been told, because I wasn't experiencing any ill health. As a matter of fact, ever since I started taking all the vitamins, minerals, and supplements, my health improved just drastically. But seeing them made it all very scary and very real. Fast forward 16 years from the day I tested positive. I've never taken any medications. I'm perfectly fine. And I know lots and lots of people like me all over the world. Our stories rarely make mainstream media because I think we pose sort of a threat to the idea of what's safe and responsible when it comes to this concept of HIV and AIDS. If you acknowledge that we exist, that we do things like lead normal lives, have relationships with people, have children, and don't take drugs and don't take the precautions we're supposed to take, and are fine, and our partners are fine, and our children are fine, and everything's fine, that really rocks a big, huge boat.
The first thing I did was I went to this place down in Lemon Grove where they feed you raw foods, and you stay there for 3 weeks, and you're on the first step to getting rid of it. And when he did an ultrasound and found that it was smaller, he said, "You must be doing something right." That's it.
Oh, wow. But didn't he redo the test once to make sure it was right?
Yeah, I think he did it twice. But like I said, when he got prostate cancer, he started doing what I was doing.
And he asked you for all the things you were doing to find out what they were?
I gave him the book that I started with,
And that book's called?
Cancer.
You know, at first I would think, geez, a story like this is very hopeful and encouraging, and people would want to hear it, but I found the opposite to be true.
See, the more I've dealt with doctors, the more I realize it's not about finding hope, it's about being right.
Yeah.
Because if they're wrong, what about all the people they killed by being wrong? And who could live with that? Mm-hmm. They can't be wrong.
Yeah, I think there's an intense need to be right, in particular around this issue of HIV and AIDS, because it's been so integrated into our culture on a social level. This isn't really, if you break it down, it's not a medical condition, it's more of a social political condition. And there's an intense need to be correct, politically correct, not scientifically correct, because if you look at the science of this, it's totally lacking. It's really sad how, I can't even say shaky the foundation is. It's built on a house of cards.
Well, you know, you're in a terrible way, which is what they always say. You always learn this. They go, you're in a terrible way. And if you don't have something done within 12 hours, this is the thing, they give a time limit. Within 12 hours, if you don't have something done, you're going to die. You'll be dead in 12 hours, he said to me. And so I go, well, yeah, okay, whatever you want. Just cut it out. Cut out my gallbladder. So I had my gallbladder cut out, and that was the turning point, because almost immediately people said, why did you do that? Why didn't you just flush the gallstones out? And in my head, I'm going, but the doctor didn't say that. I get into real life and find out your gallbladder's really pretty bloody important, and it does all bile stuff and filters oil through and fat, and you end up then, from then on, with pains across your stomach, and you're constantly having to attend to it. So now I'm a guy without a gallbladder. It can't just be put in. It's not like taking a faulty alarm clock back to Costco. You know, you're just stuck with as you are without a gallbladder. And from that point onwards, that was the turning point. I looked at, almost in the mirror really, but in the mirror of life, and just said, when has a doctor ever given me any sound advice?
And then I came across this book called The Cancer Battle Plan. And it's about just a 14-day fast. I read this amazing struggle this woman had, similar to mine with the Wilson's disease, but with cancer. The doctors always being wrong, and she kind of cured herself through doing these fasts and going to a vegan diet. So I did at this point too, I haven't had the surgery. The doctor had wanted me to have surgery to go in and take out these tumors that existed, but they couldn't find on any x-rays. I think that any doctor that does not believe or practice that your diet is 99.9% responsible for everything good and bad that happens to your body should have his license revoked and be put up on charges for everyone they gave the bad information to and died as a result. That's what I think of doctors. I think that they are so self-motivated for egomaniacal monetary reasons that they've lost all compassion for humanity itself. And I've dealt with a lot of doctors all my life because of the tons of misdiagnoses I had with the Wilson's disease, and the many doctors I've dealt with with the carcinoid. I mean, my original doctor I no longer have. The one that told me there's no hope for you. This is what you're going to do. He's not my doctor anymore.
Western medicine, they just evaluate you, or they can go through the machinery and find out what's wrong with your body, as your car mechanic goes through the car and find out, okay, transmission is leaking, let's stop it, let's put the stitches in. They don't find out the cause, where is the pressure coming from. And Ayurveda is the one who try to find out why this is happening in the body. Western science don't believe in the body can heal up itself. They believe in that we have to be cut and fix it. But Ayurveda believe in the body will heal up itself. There was an article on the internet that 6 drugs that doctor will not take.
Do you remember what those were?
Vioxx, all the arthritis drugs, blood pressure drug, which is made with the rat poison, hormones, that they give a synthetic hormones, which is made with the horse pee. You don't know how many hormones, extra hormones in that horse pee, they are extracting out and giving them, the women, the synthetic hormones to help them how to balance the hormones. So there's other side effects come with it.
Do you believe that a doctor giving you a death sentence verbally and then giving you toxic drugs is enough to kill you?
I cannot say that, because if I say something like this, FDA will come after me and put me in the jail. That's the truth is, okay?
So if you were to tell me right now that you had a cure for cancer, what's your fear?
My answer is no.
Because?
Because I am not the God. I just give my services to the public to make them healthy and happy and live longer life. And I have to live with the government rules here.
But your fear of
the
government is?
Food and Drug Administration and Fair Trade Commission. FTC, Federal Trade Commission. You cannot claim anything out of the herbs. Western medical field can claim anything they want, but the herbal people cannot claim anything out of it. So I live day by day, help as many people I can help, and I send them to medical doctors first. I say, I'm not diagnosing anything, no diagnosis, no curing, I'm just helping you here. They don't claim anything in India that
they won't say,
I
can cure you of cancer?
No. Some people, who knows, out of 100, there might be one person can say.
And would he be prosecuted?
Probably not in India.
Because there is a belief that maybe it does work.
Yeah, there's a belief, yes. There's a belief there. Because we treat all people by the natural supplements. Allopathic is afterwards, when there is no cure or there's no way out from the infection, or you get auto accident or something happened to you. That's the emergency out with the medical field. But I lived in India. My father is also a doctor, and lived in India 25 years. I did not take any Western drug. I lived on just the Ayurvedic medicines.
Well, I have some really bad news for you. By the time you're 40, you're going to be riddled with arthritis in your lower back. That's just what happens. That's just how it is. As you get older, you're going to have arthritis, and that's how it's going to be. And I say to myself as I'm leaving her office, no, I will not. I'm now 52, not a trace of arthritis anywhere, because I just didn't buy into the white coat crap. My mother did it. She died. She died and relied on praying to get her out of the fix she was in. Relied on praying and doctors to help her. Well, the doctors aren't going to help her. They've already told her she's going to die. And so my whole experience throughout my entire life has always been that doctors led me astray, they lied to me, or they were just ignorant and led me down a wrong path and didn't tell me alternatives. And in truth, and I know this is kind of creepy and spooky and people kind of laugh when you say these sort of things, the real healings that I've had in my life, the real genuine, sorted out in a flash, kind of you're over it, now move on with your life kind of healings, have always come from people who were holistic or religious or spiritual. They came from people who knew what they were doing in terms of manipulating energy. As they knew that it's the old principle of, your knee bone's connected to your thigh bone. That's the simplicity of the body. Sort out what's going on in your body. Listen to the messages that your body is telling you. And it's telling you stuff every single day of your life. Listen to it. Find out what it's telling you. Correct where you're making the mistakes. And your body will heal.
Now, the chemotherapy they wanted me to do until the day I died, because after surgery, the doctor said, well, you have to do these injections every 28 days until the day you die. Okay, well, they're $3,500 an injection. I mean, $3,500 an injection, that's like, what, almost $40,000 a year? And, which I no longer take, and I need to talk to my insurance company about that, though, because I'm giving them such a good break. But, so it's interesting to me, too, that that on insurance companies would rather pay $40,000 in drug payments to these pharmaceutical companies than say $5,000 to see a really good nutritionist. It's such a waste of money, the way that they're looking at things, because everyone just wants to generate more profit. I think what's happening to everybody right now is that there's a certain class of people, of which me and you and probably everyone watching this is a part of, where we're just the hamsters in the wheel. Our job is to go out there, eat McDonald's, get sick, take the drugs, go to the rest homes until we die so people can just profit off us their whole life. That's all we are. We're little profit maneuvers, little profit soldiers for everybody else. And so it's really important that that for the pharmaceutical companies to be as powerful they have, for insurance companies to have as much money as they have, for us to eat poorly, get sick, take drugs, and die.
So your job was to sell the drugs, not to educate the doctors about the side effects.
Again, there would be my basic knowledge that we sold was, a little bit of, you'd sell what the drug did. As far as, side effects, negative effects, no, I have a marketing degree. I'm a salesperson.
You told me before you had this little pitch about how you're going to help them buy their yacht.
This is the pitch I did. Dr. Rich, use our medications. I will tell you right now, after a few months, I would love to help you buy your first yacht. And these are the sort of things because we would give incentives from the pharmaceutical companies to the doctors, obviously, so they will dispense our drugs, or write scripts for our drugs.
And what's an incentive?
An incentive, to be frank, would be money, cash money. That talks these days, apparently, and I think it always will. We would pay them for the amount of medicine that was given out. They'd be paid.
Do you think we can do without pharmaceutical drugs, that we can cure everything with something natural?
Well, I think that you could probably cure most things with something natural. However, the process might take longer. And unfortunately, most human beings are not willing to wait. They're impatient. Yeah. Because when you think about it, most symptoms that people experience, if after a period of maybe a week to 10 days, it goes away. But people rush to see the doctors because they are so concerned, what this may be. I would never say that this herb will cure you of cancer. I can say things like this herb or this supplement can help to build your body's immune system.
But let's
and
be
then your body itself will cure the cancer.
But to be totally honest, is there fear involved? Are you scared? Even if you believed it 100% that this would be a cancer cure, would you be scared to say that because you'd be prosecuted?
Yes, I think I would be, and I would never say such a thing, because I don't think anything can cure something. You know, really, when you think about it, the healing comes from your own body system. And you can assist your body to heal itself.
People think that testing positive means that they carry a deadly virus. Very few people are ever told and ever get to discover, as I did, that there is no test, even though they're called HIV tests, that actually looks for or finds the virus itself. That all of the tests called HIV tests aren't. They're looking for substitute markers. They're looking for antibodies. They're looking for fragments of genetic material that are thought to be associated with the virus. Thought to be associated with the virus. The tests can react positively for 70 different reasons that have nothing to do with HIV or AIDS that are well documented in the medical literature. What doctors are doing are what they're told, and very few stop to question. From what I understand about medical school, it's like catechism. You go in, you memorize what you're told. You're not encouraged to think new thoughts, raise new questions, look beyond the explanations you're given. You memorize, and then you graduate, and then you go out into the world with further education offered to you by the pharmaceutical industry, who probably underwrote your textbook and the medical school where you attended as well. When you bring this up with doctors, they do get angry oftentimes, and they'll huff and they'll puff, but when you invite them to debate, to discuss these issues in a public forum, they tend to vanish in a cloud of, generally speaking, self-righteous indignation.
You feel like a 60s rebel, a 60s renegade from society. It's like you found Narnia at the back of the medical wardrobe, and now you're in a different world. And you're playing in this world, and it's full of unknowns. There are lots of things that could happen, and yeah, I could be wrong. I tell people I could be wrong about this. Don't do what I do just because I'm doing it. Research it, find out for yourself, but ask the right questions. I became this freaky guy spearheading a loony movement whereby you eat salad, you eat vegetables without cooking them. How crazy is that? And look at it now. You know, all these years later, still doing it. Went into juicing. Everybody thought juicing was crazy back in England. I juice, I do all these different things, and I haven't paid any attention whatsoever to these people who decry me. But when, at the same time as they're decrying my views, at the same time as they're making fun of what I do, they are sick. Avoid people who are going to destroy your body or cut bits out of you, or are going to give you pills that will actually corrode your insides at the same time that they're doing something good for some other part. There's a reason why drug ads, when they're on TV, go, look how happy we are taking these drugs. And at the end, a completely disembodied voice you've never even seen before goes, listing all the dry mouth and fainting spells and high blood pressure and may cause cancer, There's a reason they do that really fast, because they don't want you to know that the thing they've told you before is only going to cure one thing and may actually give you 10 other things. I mean, I remember how I was when I had my gallbladder removed. Oh, for God's sake, just take it out. Get this thing out of me. It's killing me. In fact, no. It was saying, I'm unhealthy. Please attend to me. You've ignored me all these years. Please attend to me now. Clean me out, and I will serve you for the rest of your life. And I think that by virtue of the fact that I fell for that instant remedy, instant gratification thing, I did some harm to my body, which I will never get over. If I waited, if I had been patient and I had researched and I had looked into these things, which I had time to do, before I'd had this operation, I would have never gone in for the operation.
They filled you with dread.
Drugs and dread.
They
filled
filled you
with.
with drugs and dread. They make their patients so scared you can't think straight.
Yeah. There was a guy I met recently in Brazil. And he's a doctor. He's a doctor of pathology and has been for like 30 years. So he must be like in his early 60s, I would guess. And he was there for some healing in Brazil, for some kind of spiritual healing. But I was talking to him, and he's been as part of the medical profession for a very, very, very long time. True believer in the medical profession. And he got cancer, I guess, maybe in his late 40s, early 50s. And progressively, over a period of time, the doctors, his doctors, speaking to a trained doctor, said, you've got to have this taken out or you're going to die. And they took out all kinds of things, half his bladder, half his stomach, half his this. He was telling me these things, and I was just horrified. The list was endless. So they had half his body, half his lower body. Basically, he said, I am bionic. Half of my lower body is bionic. It's plastic. Even his anal passage was plastic. I don't know how they do that, but that's what it was. So then they come to him and go, you know, it's spread. Now you have to have the rest taken out. So not only is he plastic, half of him, they want to do the other stuff. He got to a point, even as a doctor, where he goes, there's got to be a better way than this. There has to be a better way than this.
My name is Dr. Simoncini, Tullio Simoncini, and I come from Rome, Italy. I'm an oncologist. The biggest problem, in my opinion, in the world is the idea that is wrong. All the genetics, molecules, receptors, intracellular processes are just an illusion. About 9 million people, patients dying from cancer per year, are the big proof that the actual oncologist is completely failed. Why? There is all the system that is built just to pursue chemical therapies. And nobody cares about the real cause of cancer. But if you just think about the cancer. What is a cancer? Everybody speaks about cancer. And everybody is used to think of cancer about enzymes, cells, or molecules, phosphatase, kinase. What are they? Nobody knows. But if you enter into the organism and you are careful to see what is inside the organism when there is a cancer, you always find that is white. All the scientists find in the oncologic world the Candida species infection in cancer patients. When they die, they are all invaded by the fungi, but nobody wonders that this is the only microorganism present in cancer patients. Fungi, they gather, they join, they make a big colony, and the reaction to defend itself of the organism to defend itself makes the cancer, the tumor. We have to abandon completely the theory of genetics on cancer. But that involves that all the chemical industries now, all the researchers, they smash down. That's why we have to fight all the days against a failed system, oppressive system, because the system tries to continue.
Gary was a beautiful male model who I really was blown away that he wanted to have anything to do with me. But he was my boyfriend. We fell in love. He got HIV early on in the epidemic, and he loved his doctors at UCLA. Oh, they could do no wrong. They were the best thing ever. He would do anything that they told him to. Well, they told him to try this experimental drug, try that experimental drug, and he got sicker and sicker till he couldn't get out of bed. Now I wonder, was it the treatment or the disease that killed him? If I knew then what I know now, and I really do think I know it, I would have got him to stop doing cocaine, to stop doing junk food, to stop screwing up his body, to build up his immune system, not destroy it with all these pharmaceutical drugs that they were giving him, to love his whole gay self because he felt he deserved the AIDS. And I would have gone in and fought for him if I only knew then what I know now.
In my case, actually, the anxiety and the fear became the engine of my cleansing and healing process, you know, because I didn't really want to give up, really. You know, I didn't want to have that foreign element.
How long ago did you have the second biopsy?
I had it about 2 months ago. So.
And what were the results?
Well, the results was that the cancer was gone completely. It was completely clear. There was no malignant cell or anything, you know. So the specialist could only tell me, "You're clear. You know, you're clear of cancer."
What was your feeling?
I couldn't believe it at first. You know, it was so unexpected. Even though you put all your attention and all your efforts to achieve that kind of result, really, but you think, well, maybe it will be the same. It won't have, you know, spread, or maybe it will be a little smaller or something. But you are told suddenly that it's completely gone. You think, my God, how is this possible? I did it.
Almost everything can be cured with herbs.
I won't say 100%, okay? But herbs are usually slow because herbs usually takes about 4 hours through the whole system, absorb into the system, then they start the functioning. Most time I will advise people go for the herbs, go for the diet, go for the nutrition.
I understand in China that in the old days that doctors would not accept payment unless they cured you.
Exactly. And in China, we emphasize a lot prevention because especially like in the royal family, they don't want to be sick. And they will try to keep them as healthy as possible because when the king or royal family gets sick, that means like you have to put on the medicine. Whenever you put on the medicine, you have to be 100% accuracy. Or if have need to be things, they will get killed. Not only the doctor himself, but the whole family will be killed.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yes.
If you were diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, what would you do?
Okay. I want to tell you a story about myself. That was about 14 years ago. I went to a regular physical checkup because I was planning to get married. And right in the office at 8:30, my appointment. And the doctor told me, don't go back home. You have cancer. I was diagnosed as have a lymphoma, all spreading out my body, and will be die in 30 to 60 days. I went back to China with the school I graduated from, and even my teacher took me to all different departments. Everybody told my teacher the same story. If she died, she just goes to die. She want to chemo, maybe extend the life for another 6 months or a year. And I talked to myself, I don't want to torture like that. I and my teacher will fix up 45 package herbs. I decided to come back to United States. And so the doctor said, maybe you want to go for surgery. I said, okay. I finished all my herbs. Sometimes I'm getting crazy, taking 1 to 2 package of herbs. One time I get even like go up to 3 package of herbs. So by the time when I facing the day of surgery, all my retention water totally gone. And the doctor coming out for the biopsy after surgery, it was a benign. So, and I'm celebrating my health and celebrate my life. So I had a big wedding.
I feel excited that I've discovered this. You know, I was really scared about growing older. I really thought that everything was going to go downhill, that everything was going to get worse, that I was going to get cancer. And I'd lose my sexual abilities, and I'd get wrinkles, and I'd lose my hair, but I guess that's been happening. But I'm not scared anymore. And you know, coming from somebody with obsessive compulsive disorder who all his life has lived in fear from moment to moment, I'm always scared of something. This is an amazing turnaround. And it's because I've really come to believe that the world is a safe place. That's kind of nuts, isn't it? But I believe everything bad is good. Everything. We just got to get back to nature. We got to get back to herbs. We got to get back to becoming our own doctors and healing ourselves. For thousands of years, they didn't have pharmaceutical drugs, and they didn't have the kind of surgery and chemotherapy and radiation and all this kind of madness. God, you know, sometimes I think that because most doctors are men, they just love gadgetry. They love things that ping and twist. They live like, it's almost like car motors, and they can turn dials and they can light up things. And I think it's like playing in the garage. These men just love all this gadgetry. And some of the women too. God, the people I've met on this film are wonderful. So many people full of life and warmth, and people fighting the system. You know, for an old hippie like me, it's like, hey, the rebels are still around, and they're the ones I want to side with, and they're right. So it's been a wonderful journey. Thanks for coming on it with me. And I wish you good health. And I wish you'd stay away from doctors after you get the diagnosis. They're probably going to come and kill me for saying that. It's not allowed. You can't challenge the status quo. But I'm speaking for myself here. And I'm saying I'm not a medical doctor. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But I know what I think is the truth. And I've discovered it. Hallelujah. I guess I got religion. Okay, take care.
Doing organ cleanses, changing my diet, doing more exercise, ozone, it was all good for me. So there was nothing that could come of that except some good.
You're not talking about a cure, you're talking about a realignment of your life, your emotions, your nutrition, your physical well-being. It's a realignment of your life.
You're the only one that's going to profit by you making all the right decisions. Your doctors are going to profit by you taking the medication that they want you to take and getting the surgery that they want you to get. but they're not going to profit if you just change your diet and become healthy. You have to think of who's going to profit most by the decisions that you make. And when the answer is you and your loved ones, that's the right choice.